I went from being the perfect wife to the wife who cheated with none other than her own marriage counselor. I let it happen for months, behind my husband's back, in the guise of fixing us. He found out and exposed us publicly. Now I live with the shame, the regret, and the loss of the only man who ever truly loved me. We sat 3 feet apart on the couch the first day we walked into that office, close enough to pretend we were still okay, but far enough to admit we weren't. Owen had his hands folded neatly on his lap. I kept mine clenched around a tissue, even though I hadn't cried yet. The room smelled like lavender and leather-bound books. Everything was too calm for what we were about to dig up. We were there because I asked us to be. Or maybe because I gave Owen no other choice. It had been months since I felt close to him physically, emotionally, in any way that mattered. It all started after my father died. Grief doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just erodes. Quietly, slowly, I withdrew. Owen stayed steady and changed. That should have comforted me, but instead it made me feel completely alone. He didn't cry at the funeral. He held my hand, but never broke. He carried the weight of the logistics, the bills, the calls from the hospice team, and still made sure I had a clean towel when I came out of the shower. And yet, I resented him. He kept moving when I needed the world to stop. I thought therapy would help us reconnect. I didn't know it would break us. That's how we met Dr. Langford. Tall, composed, mid-40s with kind eyes and an easy smile that made you feel safe without asking why. The first few sessions were measured. Surface level. He asked the usual questions: communication patterns, conflict avoidance, emotional intimacy. Owen answered with honesty. I answered with sarcasm. It felt like I was testing both of them, but Dr. Langford never flinched. He saw through it gently, patiently. He started asking to see me individually after a few weeks. To better understand your emotional state, he said. It made sense. I agreed. That's when it changed. In those one-on-one sessions, I let my walls crumble. I told him things I hadn't even told Owen. About my guilt for not visiting my father more before he died. About the way I hated how stable Owen was. How his steadiness made me feel like a burden instead of a partner. Dr. Langford listened like no one else ever had. He told me I was grieving in isolation. That I had learned to be the caretaker, not the cared for. That what I felt was valid. He made me feel not broken, not crazy, not too much. For the first time in months, I exhaled without crying. I started dressing nicer for sessions. Just a little at first: lip gloss, earrings, then a little more. I wore the perfume Owen gave me for our 3rd anniversary, the one I stopped using months ago. I didn't know who I was trying to impress, but I did it anyway. Owen never noticed. Dr. Langford did. The first inappropriate moment was so subtle I almost convinced myself I imagined it. He held my hand too long, told me I was strong, beautiful, resilient. He shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have let it land the way it did, but it did. Then came the day Owen missed our joint session, stuck late at work. I stayed behind anyway, needing to vent. I cried, hard, told Dr. Langford I didn't feel like a wife anymore. I felt like a ghost, a stranger in my own house. He stood to hand me tissues, then sat closer, too close. His hand touched my knee, softly, reassuringly, but it lingered. I didn't move. He leaned in, our faces inches apart. I should have stopped it. Instead, I whispered, I don't know who I am anymore. And just like that, he kissed me. And I let him. Kissing him back, I melted into it. Not because I loved him, but because I needed to feel something that wasn't grief or numbness. His lips were warm, familiar, terrifying. That kiss opened a door I never closed. The affair began quietly, secret, solo therapy sessions, afternoon hotel rooms. Excuses Owen never questioned because he trusted me completely, because I was his wife. He had no idea I was lying straight through my teeth. At night, Owen would hold me like everything was okay. And I'd lie awake, wondering if I could keep splitting myself in two. I told myself I needed the sessions, told myself I was still figuring things out, told myself it wasn't real, that it was a phase. But lies rot everything they touch. One night, after dinner, Owen said he wanted to book us a weekend away, just the two of us. He said he missed me, that he could feel me slipping but didn't know how to reach me. I cried in the bathroom that night, guilt eating through my skin like acid. I told Dr. Langford we needed to stop. He agreed. For a week, and then it happened again. The last time, in his office, after hours. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't romantic. It was mechanical, hollow, a goodbye without saying the word. I think it was a week from then. We were sitting across from each other at a quiet cafe a few neighborhoods over. Nothing romantic on the outside, no touching, no whispers. Just two people talking over coffee. But the way I leaned in, the way he looked at me, it was intimate, too intimate. That's when I heard someone say, "Rachel?" I looked up and my stomach dropped. Jenna, a close friend, someone who knew Owen, someone who'd been in our house, around our dinner table. She looked between us, her smile faltering just a little. Before I could say anything, Dr. Langford stood up politely and extended his hand. "Hi, I'm Dr. Langford. I'm Rachel's marriage counselor." Jenna shook his hand. "Oh, sorry to interrupt. I just wasn't expecting to see you here." I laughed a little too quickly. "No, it's fine. We were just meeting for a quick check-in." Owen was supposed to come too, but he got called into a meeting last minute. Jenna smiled, but it was tight. "Got it. Well, nice seeing you." After she left, I couldn't focus. My chest was tight the whole time. That evening, she texted, "Hey, is everything okay with you and Owen?" I just texted her back a yes. That's it. No explanation. I think she got the message. She backed off, said she was just checking in, but I could feel it in her tone, in how distant she got after that. She didn't believe me. And honestly, I don't blame her. It almost came crashing down this one time. Owen had told me he had a late client call and would be working from a cafe near his office. So I met Dr. Langford at a small boutique hotel across town, discreet, quiet. Afterward, as I was leaving the parking garage, I saw it. Owen's car parked just a few rows away. My stomach flipped. For a second, I convinced myself it wasn't his, maybe just the same model. But then I saw the dent on the rear bumper he never got fixed. It was him. I ducked behind a pillar and texted him, fingers shaking. "How's work?" I asked, pretending to be casual. He replied a minute later, "Had to drop off my laptop at the repair shop near Pine, just grabbing coffee now." That street was barely 2 blocks away. My heart pounded as I slipped behind the wheel, avoiding every mirror, every glance. If I'd left 5 minutes later, if he'd parked 1 row closer, everything would have come crashing down. I promised myself I'd never risk it again. But I did. I never told Owen. I didn't have to. 2 days later, he came home from work early. I was in the shower when I heard his voice, flat, cold, from the bedroom. "Whose name is this?" I froze. I knew the answer. The hotel receipt had fallen out of my coat pocket, one I thought I'd thrown away weeks ago. Owen was holding it in his hands like it had poisoned him. I stepped out dripping, silent. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just nodded slowly, like the final piece of a puzzle had fallen into place. "You cheated," he said quietly. With him? I tried to speak. I couldn't. The days that followed were surreal. Owen didn't rage. He didn't beg. He simply moved. He packed a bag. He left the house. But he didn't just disappear. No, Owen made sure I'd never forget what I did. He sent an email. Not to me, to Dr. Langford's professional board, to the clinic, and to Dr. Langford's wife. He CC'd me. He attached everything. Dates, receipts, even snippets from our shared Google Calendar, proof of the overlapping sessions. Dr. Langford was fired. I was contacted by HR at my company. Apparently Owen's email had reached them too. I was being investigated for conduct affecting professional image. I resigned before they could terminate me. My friends, the mutual ones, distanced themselves quickly. I became the woman who slept with her therapist, the wife who ruined her marriage and a man's career. The disgrace. Owen never responded to my texts, never returned my calls. He changed his number a month later. It's been almost a year now. I moved into a smaller place, sold the car, picked up part-time remote work doing copywriting under a pseudonym. Sometimes, I still look him up online. Owen, my husband, the man I shattered, he's doing better, I think. Teaching again, coaching the local debate team. He looks good in the photos, lighter somehow, like someone who let go of something that was weighing him down. I used to think I grieved alone, but now I know he did too. And when I reach for comfort, I reached for someone else instead of him. I lost the only man who stood by me when I had nothing left to give. I betrayed him, lied to him, and worse, I left him to grieve alone while I sought comfort in another man's arms. Now I live with the shame, and every night, in the silence of my cold apartment, I ask myself, what kind of woman cheats on her husband with the one man who was supposed to help save their marriage? The answer is always the same: me.